Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Alistair James, and I head up InvestNI's Market Access Unit. I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar on forthcoming changes to steel import tariffs. Today's topic matters because steel is not just a policy issue, it's a cost, a supply chain input, and a competitiveness issue. For businesses in Northern Ireland, that is especially important because our trading position is different from anywhere else in these islands. We operate with access to both the UK market and the EU market, but that advantage only works smoothly when the rules around steel movements are clear, stable, and workable in practice. The introduction of tariff rate quotas by the European Union and the United Kingdom on the 1st of July is designed to manage imports and protect domestic producers. In simple terms, a quota allows a certain amount of steel to enter at a lower or nil tariff, with higher duties applying once that limit is reached. For businesses, the immediate question is not whether the policy sounds sensible in theory. It is what happens to price, availability, and lead times when quotas fill up, or when products are reclassified, delayed, or caught by different rules on either side of the Irish Sea. And that is where Northern Ireland becomes particularly exposed. Many firms here rely on steel arriving from Great Britain or through wider EU supply chains. If quota regimes are tight, or if tariffs differ between jurisdictions, the impact is felt very quickly by manufacturers, by stockholders, fabricators, and construction-related firms. It affects margins, but it also affects certainty, and certainty is what businesses value most when planning orders, managing inventory, and committing to contracts. We've already seen how sensitive this area can be. Changes to EU steel safeguards, together with the separate UK regime, have created friction and complexity for the movement of steel into Northern Ireland. In response, specific arrangements were developed to make some of those flows more workable. But the broader reality remains. Businesses still have to navigate two systems, not one. That means compliance costs, administrative checks, and commercial risk are all part of the picture. We also cannot look at this in isolation from the United States. The Section 232 steel tariffs continue to shape global steel trade, influencing where steel flows, how markets absorb excess supply, and how other jurisdictions respond with their own protective measures. The result is a more managed, less predictable global market, and that has direct consequences for companies here that need dependable access to competitively priced steel. So over the course of this webinar, we will focus on the practical questions: what the EU and UK tariff rate quotas are intended to do, how they affect the market, where the pressure point for Northern Ireland businesses are, and what companies should be watching as these policies continue to evolve. Before moving on to our first presenter, I would just like to run over some housekeeping matters. This webinar will be recorded, and we will be uploading it onto our website to make it available for others to view. All mics will be muted other than for our speakers today, and cameras will also be off during the presentations to allow for the maximum screen size for the slides. Our speakers will all be on camera during the Q&A session later. Questions can be typed into the chat function for this webinar, and I would ask you try to make your questions as general as possible, as it is difficult to answer company-specific or product-specific questions without knowing detailed information on company procedures and supply chains. Where there are common themes across the questions coming in, we will group these as best we can to enable us to address as many questions as possible. And if we're unable to get through all of the questions, we will endeavour to have these answered by our panel after the event. And again, these will be posted on our website. So thank you again for joining, and I will now hand over to Jonathan.